can.
She knows too much. Don't listen to too much of what she says. Anyway, this is a perfect place to to give honor to someone you love. We're outside with the trees. It's not hot, too hot. And if you want to take a break, you can run down and get wet and come back. It's just a beautiful place. So when you gather to honor, can everybody hear me? When you gather to honor someone, it's a joyous occasion. We're sad because she's not here anymore, but we're joyous and grateful. And this is an opportunity to talk about her legacy. And we have some really good people here who remember all the way back. Certainly good friends, her brother, of course her husband. Oh, there he is. There he is. Just met her brother. So we have close family, and you can talk about some of the things that made Kathy who she was. I think the permanence of somebody dying for us doesn't really describe God's plan. I think it's a transition. You know, I always think about there's nothing on this earth that can be destroyed. As hard as they try to destroy things, it doesn't. It goes to a different form. And that is the same way with God's creation, which is us. Sometimes people have differing beliefs, which is wonderful. Kathy and John found meaning in attending church. You were at in Ellsworth. Yeah. You went there. And so over our lifetimes and in the seasons of our lives, we learn about the mystery of creation. Some people run around and they know all about mushrooms and they know all about mushrooms. They know all about nature. Some people just are very intellectual about life. They study and they learn all about phases of life. But what we all learn in some way are the promises of our Creator, Savior, and Spirit. And so we were left and given the Holy Spirit, which lives in us. Why don't we begin with a prayer, the Lord's Prayer, that most people don't. And instead of trespasses, we'll say sins. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread. Forgive us our sins, as we forgive others who sin against us. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen. And I understand that Kathy was called Ganny.
Gannys.
Gannys. Oh,
Gannys. Yeah.
I didn't put a little umlaut or something on it. But you were very dear to her because you were local, and so she could enjoy you. And so it's just fitting and right that you read the scripture about love.
Hello.
Hi, Charlie. Hi.
Thank you, everybody, for coming. Really appreciate it. I'm going to do my best to read through this without crying, but
We'll be
there's
fine.
no prepared for it, you know? 1 Corinthians 13 is often read at weddings. It might seem strange to read this at a memorial service, but that's what I'm going to do. Love is patient, love is kind. It does not envy. It does not boast. It is not proud. It does not dishonor others. It is not self-seeking. It is not easily angered. It keeps no record of wrongs. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices with the truth. It always protects, always trusts, always hopes, always perseveres. Love never fails. The reason that I'm reading this today is because I realized the word love can so easily be replaced with Gannys. Gannys is patient. Gannys is kind. She does not envy. She does not boast. She is not proud. She does not dishonor others. She is not self-seeking. She is not easily angered. She keeps no records of wrongs. Gannys does not delight in evil, but rejoices with truth. She always protects, always trusts, always hopes, always perseveres. Gannys never fails. What I would like to ask all of us today is to be a little bit more like Gannys, to be the action of love.
Did you want to say anything, Charlie, about specific memories that you have of Gannys?
There are so many. In her last week, we got to talk about a lot. In these last years, we talked about a lot of memories, which were really, really nice. I'm glad I got to spend that time with her because I know a lot of people didn't, especially with COVID. It kind of put a little bit of a damper on things. But you know, we had really good times with her in these last years. She loved to go for fast wheelchair rides with Natalie. That was a lot of fun. One of my favorite memories with Gannys that I still do today is when I can't sleep at night. She used to get up with me at any hour, didn't matter when it was. She'd ask me if I wanted some peanut butter toast with honey.
Oh, wow.
And we'd sit at the lake and we'd watch the sunrise and we would eat our peanut butter toast with honey. And it was a lot of fun. It's something I still do. I always, even Natalie for Christmas got me my own engraved peanut butter spoon. Because of how much I eat of that. You know, we still go camping every year, same places that she used to take us. And this year was a little crazy. There was some really, really bad storms, so there was no power, no electric, no water, no nothing. The whole town was shut down. You know, but I remember, you know, a few times like that where we sat through the thunderstorms and when your house wasn't built and we had all the pots and pans around and they'd fill with water. And you know, it's something that we do every year, and it always makes me think both of you still climb the dunes. I feel like I don't do as good a job as you guys did. I feel like you guys ran up them. I don't. Like this halfway through. But, you know, still do it. Still dance in the kitchen to music. From the second I get up until I go to bed, there's music. Never leave. Yeah, I could go on forever. There's so many fun times. Anything that's nature related, it's definitely Gannys.
Mystery trips.
And the mystery trips. Yup.
So you're making us feel like we can feel from here.
Yeah. Yup. Walking on the beach. The last thing I said to her is that it was okay, and she's not gonna be in pain. She just has to close her eyes. And then she'll be laying on the beach, soaking in the sun because she loves suntan. And little Odie, Master P will both be there laying with her because they both love to sunbathe as well. She's surrounded by her garden. Still have plants from her garden. All the plants and the rocks that she gave us. They spread every year, and we give them to people that are trying to set up gardens. So there's a little bit of Gannys and you all around, and it's a beautiful thing. They do. They all blossom at different times. Yep. Oh yeah. Exactly. Thank you.
That really spreads the spirit of Gannys around, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And certainly you as well, together. And you too, Arnie. Okay. Kathy, as I understand, I don't know about her early times, but I think that her family had hard beginnings, and looking for my person who knows everything.
Oh,
Yeah.
later.
Yeah, later, but I'm looking to you because obviously brother and sister, you had some hard times. Lack of food, and your dad wasn't available. And in the city, things were a whole lot different all those many years ago. But in 3rd grade, I heard it was 3rd grade, I don't know, you must have been really precocious or something. Kathy took a shine to John Comer in 3rd grade. So the attraction seemed to grow and grow, and you two ended up in a permanent relationship. As Debbie has described, and as you know, everybody worked hard in those days growing up. And I think one of her first jobs was being a dishwasher at Haskell Community Center, right?
Yep.
That was in Flint, right? And so you got married on January 26, 1957.
Right.
Right. And work efforts continued because you had a family business. And she worked at Comer's Market. And where was that?
In Flint.
In
North
Flint.
side of Flint.
North side of Flint.
Area.
And then somewhere along the line, she became an airline stewardess.
Yeah, that was in 1954.
So that was an earlier job. And then she got a job at GM.
Well, she was at GM prior to that. Left GM, go to McDonald Airline School, got certified as an airline stewardess, then got into being in the great state of Texas. That was
Brands, Texas.
then Texas Airline there.
Okay, okay.
We used to call it treetop.
Uh-huh.
They served about 7 states.
That's right.
And she actually retired from GM, didn't she get a
Yeah,
retirement?
yeah, she served about 15 years.
So she was a busy girl from the very beginning. She worked hard. And I know that Debbie remembers her being a she was a homeroom mom. She liked to paint cookies.
We all did at Christmas time. She would have the cookies and get out the
Well, what's
paintbrushes.
wrong with your little ice cream place? We don't see any painted cookies.
So that's what she. Get the computer.
And then you're talking about she made beautiful cakes. And there was a boob cake.
There was some
Well, of
black
course. Haven't you
black
seen
ladies that she worked with, and this lady had very large boobs, and they couldn't figure out how to put the boobs onto the cake, so they got out a couple cupcakes and frosted right over the top of them.
It was a silhouette of the real lady.
Must have been a big cupcake.
Oh, he wouldn't let anybody eat it.
And I
Took it home.
think, yeah, take it
Get
home.
them at bakeries
Took it
today.
I know, I know. So you sponsored a baseball team,
Yes.
you and
Over's
Kathy,
Market.
for your market, with being a
Right,
sponsor. And I think there were a lot of parties, sledding parties,
Pool parties.
pool parties.
Yeah.
And you know, I don't know when you were working at Charlevoix Pool.
Not too
This-
long ago.
No, not too long ago, and I thought, you know, where did that come from? I've never really heard about that in the time that I've known you. But
Let me tell
Kathy,
you about Mr. Calder as far as sponsoring the baseball team.
ah,
In fact, I went to him because we had to,
Not John. John's dad.
Vernon?
his dad,
Vernon,
yeah, I'd have to go and I talked to his dad and he sponsored me, which means he had to buy a shirt, pay for a shirt for it. Each sponsor bought one shirt. And so he was responsible for, you know, a lot of things, but I have to admit, once in my life, I stole
it's okay, there's no wiring here at all.
Right.
I stole like a candy bar or something from the store because I didn't have any money. And he caught me.
John,
Vernon.
Vernon.
John's dad.
He called me and he said, don't, if you want something, you tell me, but don't take it. I never did it.
You learned.
Yeah, I was 9 or 10
Oh,
years
that's not so
old.
little.
I was that
You weren't alone.
Well, I know that Kathy enjoyed flowers,
Oh, yes.
and I see you hanging flowers all the time
Yeah.
and nurturing your flowers. But you had told me that she was often mistaken for an actual landscape artist, that because her gardens were so beautiful, that she had those talents. So, in 1990, you moved up here.
Right.
Is that about right?
Right.
And you lived in Charlevoix.
Now we do,
Yeah, but at that time, you moved to Torch Lake.
yeah.
Yeah.
We're in Torch Lake about 11, 12 years.
And so it's real easy to get busy in the Torch Lake area, right, Sally? Kip?
We bought our property from your husband,
You did?
Yeah.
Bill Lundy. Yes, sir.
Well,
Wow.
And he was even offering the whole package.
yeah. What part of the lake do you want in those days? And you know what people said? We want road frontage,
Yeah.
because we don't want to be stranded down by the lake in the winter. And so it was interesting because Ed and Irene wanted road frontage. And, you know, that was the deal. Now, people want lake frontage.
Right.
They don't care about road.
Cars are a little different.
Yes. So I think, you know, we all have memories, and my memories certainly are more through Debbie than actually interacting the times you were up here. At that time, I was busy on the ambulance, and I had 4 little kids, and Phil kept me close to the grindstone. So there are other memories, and I kind of wanted to include anybody that wanted to speak. And I know you have some memories.
Even Ernie wants to speak.
Ernie, would you like to speak now?
I guess, you know, living in Civic Park is where we lived growing up with Culver's Market and Lincoln School and that type of thing there. We had 6 kids in our family. 2 boys. John, who was called Cookie because he liked cookies. Bob, who was taxi because he had to hurry to go to the hospital and had a taxi. Third was Carol. We didn't figure a name for her, a nickname. And then there was Kathy and myself, the judge, because I had to go before the judge, my dad, because he got a ticket. So we had a big family, and I think, you know, I go back and think how Kathy and I were so tight with all in the family. She was the third in line with the girls, so you know she did a lot of the work in the kitchen all the time, and Carol was, you know, had a boyfriend, and Edith was too young, so Kathy got stuck with a lot of the work, and Kathy and I kind of chummed together because after me there was Edith, and she was a baby. She didn't have to do anything, so John was gone, and Bob, and there was Kathy and me. But Kathy, I would come home always late because I'd be playing baseball and sports, and I never was on time for dinner, which means there wasn't much to eat, except Kathy was there, always for me. I never had to go hungry because Kathy.
Me either.
She'd make a sandwich, and, you know, and stuff like that, and we hung out together a lot. Edith was too young. The older kids were too old. But Kathy and I, we did most of the things that we did. We did a lot of things together. We ran concession stands at parks and all that kind of stuff. A lot of different parks. And Kathy was always the one that was behind doing a lot of the work. In fact, I probably wouldn't have eaten a lot of times if it hadn't been Kathy, because I get home late from practice and baseball. Kathy says, "Well, I'll make you a sandwich," and or she'd cook me up something. So she did that all her life, right? That's the way she was. So I was very appreciative to see and see a lot of friends and John and Debbie again, and because it's been a long time since we've been separated. We're living way down in South Carolina. We don't get up in this area very much. And I came back, I broke my hip, and now I hurt my voice. I can't talk very well, walk very well. But thanks to Kathy for all the things she did for me. Oops.
Sure.
Did you want to get
No,
up?
go ahead, Dad.
Oh,
Yeah,
so you
I'm
gonna
gonna-
get up?
I was going to do that.
Oh, go ahead, I'll let
I have a
you.
couple of things. If any of you knew Kathy earlier, you look at Ernie, I always thought that they were twins. And they were a lot alike in personalities. I look at Ernie now and I see Kathy's face when she was a little older woman. Anyway, I was going to read this
The blue
first.
eyes.
The blue eyes,
eyes.
that's what I always say. Maybe I'm just going to say something about Kathy with myself, and then I'll read something from the youngest sister. I think that everything that Charlie read in Corinthians, I was thinking while I was reading it that so much of that just spoke of Kathy. And Ernie and I have been married a long time, and so consequently I've been in the family a long time, 60-some years, and 62, and I knew Kathy from the beginning. And I'll tell you, everything I think about her so much, the flowers, because she always had beautiful flowers. And when we moved into our first house where we raised our kids, Kathy was over there and she was planting stuff all around the house, and I wasn't so good at that, and she brought stuff over, extra things. She was just like that, and every time you move someplace, what I remember is all those flower beds that she had in right away. Here at Torch Lake, all those raised, she did. And then she was an absolutely wonderful cook. That was the other thing. There were things that she cooked that were just, I always think about those rolled chicken things that she did. Remember that? And she had a catering business a little bit for a while, didn't she? Yeah. And, but the thing most of all is that Kathy and I was in the family because of Ernie, of course, but Kathy and I loved each other's as sisters, without a doubt. And she would send the best birthday cards, and she would always say to my sister, you know, it was just, but yeah, we did. And I also love the way she watched out for Ernie. Ernie was her brother, like a year and a half younger maybe, so close in age. And Ernie always thought a lot of you, John, loved you, and was so happy that you guys were.
Sometimes people make mistakes.
Well, and then Debbie, I remember when Debbie came along, and she was this little girl, just a little tiny girl crawling, and we were over at your house, I don't know, in Dartmouth someplace. She would be crawling inside the kitchen cabinets underneath the sink. Hiding, was she hiding? Probably grabbing cookies or something. No. And John, so we spent a lot of time together, and yeah. And so now we're happy that Kathy's soul is with God. It always was. So it's so I'm going to try to read this. The youngest sister was hoping to be here, Edith, and then couldn't manage to get up here. So anyway, they sent this. I got it on the way up in the car. Well, Ernie and I were arguing, not arguing, but I was telling them all the wrong ways to go. So I haven't really read it all the way through, and some of it is pretty historical. I think sort of historical stuff about the family. So I hope it's okay to read this. And she said, the John and Irene Hillberger Myers nest was blessed with 6 children. You've heard that today too. Each of whom share memories and experiences with and of one another. That became a part, I'm sorry, I'm trying to read this off my phone, of the lives of John, Cookie Myers, Robert Bob, you've heard this, Caroline, Carol, Kathleen, Kathy, Ernie Myers. You have a Kleenex. I'm sorry.
You're fine.
Oh, have it out. Anyway, Ernie, and then Edith, who was called Dolly. As this is who is writing this. As the youngest and last to leave the nest, I had the benefit of having more to share than the others. As I watched my older brothers and sisters graduate from high school and college, serve in the Army as a Flint police officer, a Genesee County court clerk, Grand Trunk railroad engineer, college teacher, and coach, my husband, work in industry, get married, and run their own businesses, build nests, and raise families of their own, which is absolutely true. And the family basically has kept in touch, and I know from Ernie how much they cared about each other. For me, at a time when my father was gone, my mother was working late at the hospital. Kathy was the one who packed a lunch bucket to take to work the night shift. Oh, I'm sorry here, I'm just having a hard time with this. How do I do this? I lost it. I'm embarrassed. I told him I'm not a techie at all, and I did. I went here, did figure. I did something to it. What I do to it? Sorry about this. I just assured them I would read this. Oh, thank you.
They drive everybody crazy, don't feel bad.
And she said that Kathy was the one who packed a lunch bucket to work the night shift at the AC Spark Plug to help keep us going in the family, who dared to fly above the horizon as an airline stewardess to chase her dreams, which is true, right?
Yes.
Your second dream to you, John. Second, though. You were first. Who would drive by my John Comer to find me sitting alone on the front porch and take me to a drive-in to buy a burger, Coke, fries for my dinner. Do you remember?
Cupid.
Is that right?
Cupid.
Yeah, and who started, and ran businesses of her own, or their own, to provide for themselves and their children. I didn't know that you would pick up. Yeah, that's really sweet. God blessed me and Ernie, I know for sure. You too. People here. By giving me Kathy and her boyfriend and husband, John Comer, who shared a part of their lives with me by opening up their hearts to make memories that I hold dear and proud and lucky to be able to say that I am now and always will be Kathy Myers Comer's little sister. And we agreed to that I am also her older sister. And Ernie is so happy to have been and be her brother.
That's
And to have you
wonderful.
too.
Thank you.
We love you so much.
Thank you.
Love it.
We've
That's
had a
how-
lot of wonderful
That's how
times.
families used to be.
Yeah, and this never ended for most everybody in the family. I wouldn't say that it was always perfect with everybody, but Ernie and I used to come up to Bel Air to Standing Creek a lot. We always spent time with Kathy and John, and we saw Debbie, and we saw Charlie growing up, and yeah, we've had a lot of wonderful times. So, yep, we're lucky, and we were lucky to be part of Kathy's life. So we want to honor her. Yep. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Ben.
Well, our hearts are swelling, right? And we just had a couple people join us. I think we're also talking about the loss of a mother. And I wanted to read something that I think really speaks well of being a mother and losing your mother. I think that the older we get, the more we understand. Just like you're saying, through the seasons of life, relationships ebb and flow. And when you get a little older, you are able to look back and kind of put all the pieces together. As children, we can't comprehend or fully realize the meaning of our mother's love, how tender and how wise, the patience and forgiveness that are part of every day, the unexpected little things she does in her own way, the things that you remember from your childhood. Years go by before we can look back on life and see things through older eyes and wiser hearts, the love and the loyalty. And yet it's these and other special things we hold so dear, for memories of that love that was always steadfast. The 23rd Psalm is a very popular psalm to read. And psalms, many of them are in songs. I don't know if musically anybody sings the songs. But the 23rd Psalm, the first verse and the last verse are the message. Because the first verse acknowledges, "O Lord," and the last verse tells us we'll dwell in the house of the Lord forever. So I'm going to read the 23rd Psalm. The Lord is my shepherd. I lack nothing. He makes me to lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside still waters. He refreshes my soul. He guides me along the right paths for his name's sake. Even though I walk through the darkest valley, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil. My cup overflows. Surely your goodness and mercy will follow me all the days of my life. And then the last part, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. So sheep were a good example because sheep follow the call of the master, and they do have to be protected. They have to be protected from enemies. So the comparison was very appropriate at that time. So now, before we close, does anybody else have anything they would like to share? John, you have.
Well, I might-
Well, you can be whatever you want.
Were you done?
I am done until the last one. So I'm relinquishing all this for you.
First of all, I want to thank you for all coming. Very thoughtful of you. You've heard a lot of what, well, we'll shut down. You've heard a lot of what Kathy thought of me and her children and her grandchildren. She was loving every day. I wasn't aware of what she thought of me. It was back a few years. And it wasn't until high school that I became aware of the fact that she really likes me, you know? And then she told me. She told me, I love you in elementary school. Oh my God, what's wrong? What's wrong with me here? Yeah, I used to hang out with the guys, you know, playing marbles and stuff like that, and a few baseball games and stuff. I didn't think anything of it. But here, she had this affection of me, which was thoughtful of her. And she came through a difficult life, but a very kindful life with some of her family, especially her. She has some circumstances come up in her life, physical circumstances that she had to deal with. She had a kidney infection, and she had to be in a hospital when she was young. She made it through. She was very dedicated in her feelings about what she wanted to do, and she did. I thought that was great. You know, it showed through all her years, you know. But it was great. In junior high, she was aware of me, and she found that I had an interest in some sports, limited interest in some sports, and she liked to see me playing basketball for Longville Junior High School, and to be on the first team. How I got that, I don't know, but there I was, forward, and done pretty well. She said, I used to play at the community center that was across the street where I lived. Very convenient, Haskell Community House. Had an indoor gym, indoor pool, indoor bowling alley. Had 3 or 4 ball diamonds. It had in the winter a ball diamond converted into a ice skating ring. You know what I mean? What more can you get, you know? And just walking across the street. So it was convenient that way. Kathy lived 3 blocks down. And she used to like to go there. Spend a lot of time there. She liked to do the things physically, basketball, swimming, softball. She played there. She also worked there in the community center for the seniors. And she'd do the dishes. I'd come by after finishing a ball game, and I got there, she was dishes, hundreds of dishes. I felt sorry for her doing so many dishes. I'm gonna help you. So I did. She'd like that. She really liked that. She got me hooked into standing right now. She had a couple ways of trying to get me to hang around her, you know. That was one. Another convenient way was that she would call me on the telephone. And she was a little cautious in what she'd do. She wasn't quite as open-minded. But she would call, and she didn't quite know what to say to me. Well, do you doing anything? I said, I don't know. What do you know? She says, well, I just made some hot fudge. Oh my God. She says, that sounds great. I said, you better get over here because you're going to get eaten up. And sure enough, her oldest brother would eat the whole thing. Ernie would eat his share. And also, she'd make peanut butter fudge. That was great. Just about use a whole jar of peanut butter making. So it was these things that she kind of coaxed me over to her house. And that was convenient, you know. But I worked in my father's store. And at the time when she came in, was in the produce department. I was prepping some things for the customers, and we had some dates come in from Iraq in a carton about that big. It was kind of like a magazine carton for shelves. You open it up, it's just full of these nice fresh dates. And I would put a pound in each package and roll them up. She happened to come in one time. She's always curious what I was doing. And, oh, what are you doing? I said, I'm looking back here. I happen to have something in my hand. I said, you want a date? That was my hook that I got in her mouth, you know. Oh yeah, I'd love to have a date. I said, well, here, have two. So that was part of the game, you know. But in getting into high school, I used to drive my dad's pickup truck. It was not a pickup, but kind of a service truck, small. And I says, drive over to her house. Do you want to go someplace? Oh, yeah. You know, she didn't hesitate. She grabbed her coat and ran, you know. Oh, gee, that's cool, you know. And I said, where do you want to go? She said, it'd be nice if you could go to Hubie's Hotel. It was a hamburger place. It was a takeout hamburger place. I made great hamburgers. You get hamburgers, a nice bunch of fries, a nice milkshake. Great. So I'd drive her downtown and we'd go through Hubie's hamburger. And then another thing she liked to do was go to the A&W, the north side of Flint, because they always had the big jokes.
You had the one down the hill.
Yeah, you had a double dog.
You had a float.
Right there, you know, there's a bunch of kids hanging out there too. It was, a lot of time at, Haskell, because of the swimming, because of basketball, because of other things going on, so I used to, enjoy going over there. Joe contracts. I like to come to this place. This is all my duties. You do. And she says, I like your legs. For some reason, you noticed me playing. Now they're terrible. But anyhow, those are kind of the moments that I recall. I dated her in high school. She was a year behind me. I finished high school, went on to junior college, got an associate degree in business. Just finished up, and then I was called into the Army. Jeff here knows what it's about because he was in the same area that I was. And I was in the finance. I went into the armored section. I didn't want to look at the weapons, but I ended up in finance. Anyhow, that was a good experience. A lot of guys say, hey, I'm not like that. I said, history was interesting. I'd like to read. History was interesting to me because I'd read something about something over in Europe. Didn't think much of it, but ended up going over there, spending over a year in West Germany. And God, that was interesting. I got enumerate on that, but I don't know that's about going too much. But anyhow, I enjoyed that part. During that period of time, Kathy went into the airlines. She went to Gannys Airline School, and she went down to that good state of Texas, Houston, Texas, ran Texas Airlines. So she was in that about the time I was in the service. We had stopped seeing each other for a while. I came home, looking for my father. Happened to recently come in the door of the store. I kind of looked at the lady. She was copper toned. Just about black. She was a very good copper. Blue eyes. There it was. It was her life. Okay. He came back to see it over. So it's one of those things we kind of hit it off together, and it went very good. She had experiences that she enjoyed, tried them. She tried a number of things. It was difficult for her, but she did it. I done things that I wasn't sure about, but I was glad that I had the opportunity because they were decent to me. So we both had good learning experiences during that period. Then it was family. We were married. Then we had our first child in 1958. My daughter here. And she was very nice. So it happened to be fortunate because my father passed away in 1963 and I had an opportunity to buy one of the stores through his bank. And which I did, and my brother bought it from the store. So we had the store for about 11 years.
sorry I couldn't bring it.
Of small world.
Bill Lundy, he got Kathy to be convinced that she wanted a wild George Lake. Believe me, it was cheap back then. Damn now. Very cheap back then. Your husband even wanted us to buy the whole thing. If I had sold the store, I probably could have, but I didn't. So anyhow, we've had some good years together. And I'm glad that she had that opportunity. I had that opportunity to be with her. And she's been a real blessing to me. I didn't know that she was following behind what I would do. How I would do. Because I was in numerous things during that period of time. She always encouraged me to do so.
You told me that she told you at one point that she loves you to do it.
Yes, but yeah, it's some of these things wasn't okay what I said. As a toddler, she took care of the younger children. Ernie was okay. Took care of the younger sister. He had no time. Right. Her and Ernie used to play ball, soldier, and everything else. She loved you. Anyhow, it went real well. And Ernie and my wife Kathy had a relationship, a loving relationship. It's like me and my younger sister. That was so some of the things that already went over. I will always have a positive image of my wife. Always. Never. One of those things. This week was both mine. And to you, she loved you. The other way. She loved you too. And I can't think of too much more to talk about. Other than she enjoyed her moments of happiness, regardless of something that made her happy. The family made her happy. Church made her happy. We were fairly close to the church. So I'd like to thank the Lord for what He's done for me and my family. I'll always remember her in these moments. She always wanted to do something
nicest memorial services I've ever been to. It really is. So why don't we close in prayer? Pardon? Oh, there you are. I'll raise it up for you.
I'm here. You ready for a song?
I'm ready for a song. Why don't I do this? I'll pray the last prayer, and you can sing the beautiful song. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for all creation. You created us from your image and then created a beautiful temporary place for us to live. We thank you for the lakes and the trees and the flowers and the sun, the rain and the stars. We thank you for family and friends you chose for us. We thank you for the promise of eternity, transitioning us to a place prepared by you for us. We thank you for the honor in loving Kathy and pray for the whole Comer family as they mourn her loss. We now at this time in this place with joy rejoice that Kathy's in that special place prepared for her. Amen. Now fitting to close with this beautiful hymn.
Thank you, Shar. It's an honor to be invited to join you and be a part of this circle of love and a celebration of life. So I've been asked to sing Amazing Grace. So here we go. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see. 'Twas grace that taught my heart to fear, and grace my fears relieved. How precious did that grace appear the hour I first believed. The Lord has promised good to me. His word my hope secures. He will my shield and portion be, as long as life endures. Through many dangers, toils, and snares, I have already come. Sorry, that part chokes me up every time. His grace has brought me safe thus far, and grace will lead me home. Sing with me now. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see. Amen. Here 10,000 years, bright shining as the sun, we've no less days to sing God's praise than when we first begun. Oh, you're welcome. My pleasure.
And now, pardon?
We'll have hamburgers and ice cream and stuff like that.
Now we're having, what, any choice of ice cream?
Yeah, after the hamburger.
Did you sell all the chocolate cookie dough? Thank you all for coming and participating, and Jan, that was the perfect way
Thank you.
to seal it up.
Thank you. My pleasure.
So where are we getting our hamburgers?
We'll bring them down here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Later.
Sean is here, so we'll get him on the way.
I'll go grab the salad.
I don't think so.
I'll go grab the salad.